Hi and welcome to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be talking about how I grew my Zebrina, Alocasia Zebrina, to be this absolute beast that you can see here. But before we get into the video, hi, my name is Alexis and this is Wild Houseplants. I'm a houseplant enthusiast and I also work as a houseplant technician, which basically means when I'm not looking after my own plants, I'm looking after other people's. If you don't follow me over on Instagram or TikTok, you can find me there at Wild Houseplants. And if you do enjoy this video today, I'd love it if you hit that subscribe button below because it really helps out my channel. Okay, let's talk about how you can grow a big, lush Alocasia Zebrina. Okay, so the first thing is I've actually got more than one plant in this pot. I've actually got 3 separate plants. And I often say, not just with Alocasia, but definitely with Alocasia and even with other plants as well, if you want to create a full plant quickly, then you're going to want to combine more than one plant. So originally when I bought this plant, it had 2 plants in the pot. So it already came with 2 plants. And I can put in a picture of what it was like when I first got it. And then I ended up buying a second Zebrina, and that came with just 1 plant in the pot. And at some point, I think around about a year ago, I ended up combining all 3 plants together. And of course, each plant here has a number of leaves. So this plant here has 3, this plant here has 3, and the other plant here has 1, 2, 3, 4. And another one has 4. So that gives you, like if I had just 1 plant in a pot, I would just have 3 leaves, right? So having multiple plants in the pot means that I've got all of these different leaves because I've got 3 different plants in the pot. So that is the easiest and fastest way. Oh, my dog's coming in the room. Hello, Bill. Hello, boy. You want to come up? Hi. Hello. I'm going to say hi to everybody. This is Bill, or Silly Billy as we call him. I'm talking about the Alocasia. Is it one of your favourites? So that's the first thing I would say, is combine multiple plants in the pot. Now these plants are also really fantastic at producing corms. They're like little bulbs and you can pluck them out of the soil like when you're repotting, and sometimes they even appear sort of more towards the top of the soil or whatever medium you're using, and you can pluck them out. So my point being that they also produce lots of babies and you can easily go on to propagate those and create more plants using that as well, that you can always add back into the pot at a later date and create a fuller plant. So the second thing I would say is that in my opinion and in lots of other people's opinions, Alocasia do really well in semi-hydro. I know people that grow them in leca really successfully. I personally don't grow any of my plants just purely in leca, but I do use Pon, P-O-N. The first brand that I'm aware of was Alocasia Pon. It's basically like little rocks like this, and it's a mix of pumice, lava rock and zeolite. And the Alocasia Pon also tends to come with a slow release fertilizer pellets in it as well. But since then I have also purchased semi-hydro from Soil Ninja. Soil Ninja do both a fine mix like this one here and a coarse mix, and probably I'm more these days I prefer the coarse mix. It's just much bigger, chunkier bits of rock. But what I would say is if the plants that you're looking to move into semi-hydro has a fine root system, then you might want to go with the fine semi-hydro. And if it has quite a thick root system, Anthurium, Monstera, Alocasia to a degree, you can go with the more chunky coarse mix. So I wouldn't probably put a tiny baby plant into the coarse mix because it might just dry out too quickly. And once those roots dry out, they're going to take a really long time to bounce back, if at all. Whereas a chunkier plant with chunkier roots can sort of handle drying out a little bit more. So yeah, semi-hydro is an absolute game changer. If you are struggling with issues with like the leaf yellow patches or brown patches, or if you're in the one leaf club, or you've noticed that when you get a new leaf coming in, the old leaf dies off. These are all very classic alocasia things when they're struggling with their root system. It can be really hard to get the watering right for alocasia when they're in soil. They don't like to dry out, but at the same time, they don't like to be like moist for too long either. And so getting that balance right can be really, really tricky, and putting them into semi-hydro just takes that out. I don't personally use any self-watering pots or anything like that. I will literally just plant my plant into a normal nursery pot like you can see here. And then I will have, although it's getting a bit dry at the moment, a small reservoir of fertilized water, maybe around about that much, just at the bottom of the pot. And I will just refill that whenever it dries out. So probably for this plant, it might be like once every 5 days or something like that. And sometimes I also like just water in from the top and then let it just sit with a small reservoir at the bottom. And ever since I've done that, it's just been like so much happier. Just talking on fertilizing, I know I mentioned that Alocasia Pond comes with a built-in slow release fertilizer that lasts for 6 months, but despite that, it's very difficult to know, obviously when you're just pouring in your substrate, how much of those pellets you're getting in when you're pouring it in, because obviously they're just mixed in throughout. So sometimes you might get a cup with like 5 pellets in it, and the next cup might not have any pellets in them. So with that in mind, even though it's got 6 months of built-in fertilizer and you don't have to fertilize straight away, I personally do. So I use a liquid fertilizer. I use this on all my plants, no matter what they're in, no matter what type of plant they are. It's a liquid gold leaf. And yeah, I use it on hydroponics, soil, whatever, propagations, everything. And I'll link it down below. It's really fantastic. I've been using it for about 2 years now, and my plants are really happy. So yeah, I would fertilize, and I currently fertilize with every water as long as the plant is putting out new growth. Now, obviously with this plant, it's not going to be putting out a new leaf all the time, because it might put out a new leaf like every couple of months, but I can still tell that like this plant is in its growing season. It has been giving me leaves quite regularly. So I am still fertilizing it. I highly expect that this plant won't go dormant, because my alocasias don't tend to go dormant. I still provide them with enough light that they don't tend to go dormant. I do use grow lights, as well as having this one quite close to a south-facing window. But if the plant was to go dormant, or if it was just to really not give me a new leaf in several months, then I would probably cut down on the fertilizer, because if this plant is not working on new leaves and it's not actively growing, I don't want to be chucking a load of food at it. It's not helpful for the plant. But if the plant is like, I can see that basically where the plant is looking to push out a new leaf on the stem, like here, there's like a bulge there, and I can tell that this leaf is getting ready to come out. I think they've got another one here that's also getting ready, and where's the third one? Over here. So I can feel that they're feeling quite ready, and that's why I'm still continuing to fertilize at the moment. But if those leaves suddenly didn't come out within the next few weeks or month, then I would probably cut down on the fertilizing, because yeah, like I said, the plant wouldn't be needing it. The other thing with these is they do get very top heavy. Obviously these huge leaves, especially as they start to size up, get quite heavy for the stems. So I do use these supports. They're just metal supports that I bought from Amazon. You can buy them in like different heights. So I think this is the tallest one, I think, but again, I will link these down below, and I've got smaller ones that I use for smaller alocasia, but it just helps the plant to display much more in a more attractive way, because when they all start to flop over, it doesn't always look very nice. And this keeps the plant looking much more sort of upright and a much more like full compact display, because obviously it's a big plant, it's going to take up a lot of space, and so I want it to sort of stay as compact as possible. So I just secure these down into the Alocasia Pond or semi-hydro, and that really supports them. As you can see here, this is actually my favourite leaf because it had this sport variegation on it, but it is starting to yellow off here. So this leaf is definitely getting ready to say goodbye, which totally makes sense because this leaf comes from this plant here, which is already, oh, this one's actually got 4 leaves, and this is the oldest leaf. And as I said, the newest leaf is getting ready to push out another leaf. So it totally makes sense that the oldest leaf on that plant is getting ready to die off, because the plant needs to be putting energy into creating new leaves. So obviously over time you are going to get leaves die off. I'll probably leave this one on a little bit longer because it's not looking super ugly yet. But I am sad to say goodbye to this because I really love this splash of variegation that it had. But yeah, otherwise when it's ready to go, I'll just follow it all the way down to as close to the base as I can. For example, if it was this one, follow it all the way down and cut it about there. And then this section will brown off over time. And once it's browned off, I'll just sort of peel it off. And that keeps it looking quite attractive. I don't like all those sort of brown bits around here. I tend to just peel all those off once they're ready to go. And yeah, that is how I have grown this lush plant and kept it happy. It's definitely had a really, really good summer. It's always done well for me. There have been times when it has struggled a little bit, but in general, it's always been a bit of a winner for me. And when people say, oh, mine's really struggling, it's generally because it's not happy in the soil that it's in and it starts to rot. And you can definitely recover alocasia from root rot, but you cannot recover them once that rhizome starts to rot, or it's very difficult to. So yeah, I'm just going to show you another couple of Zebrina, all of which have come from, well, that's not true. Well, first of all, I'm going to show you this one. So this one was actually, move that one back. This one was actually my mum's Zebrina. She used to have a nice full Zebrina. In fact, I bought it for her and it was a nice full one. And then over Christmas, which is obviously quite a few months ago now, sorry, there's a fly flying around. She ended up putting it into a darker, a lower light spot in her home because she was making way for the Christmas tree. And it sort of still got watered the same frequency as if it was in a bright spot, but it was in a very dark spot. And as a result, it got root rot. I've made a reel on it. And basically when I bring alocasia back from root rot, I put them into perlite. Perlite is such a lightweight material, and I just keep the perlite damp. You can just, again, a bit like with the semi-hydro, just leave it with a small reservoir of water at the bottom, or just water it through, let it drain off, and then moisten it again once it dries out a little bit. But I find this is amazing for bringing alocasias back from the dead. You just want to remove all those rotten roots and then replant it up with some perlite. I would like, I prefer to use a clear pot so that I can keep an eye on it. I did have this one in a clear pot, but I've just sized it up recently and I didn't have a clear pot this size. So that is why it's not in a clear pot at the moment. But if you're just like starting out or you're not sure, then I would 100% recommend a clear pot just so you can keep an eye on things. And then all these leaves, as you can see, these are the 2 leaves that grew back originally. And then I have this leaf that's come out, and this one is obviously working on a new leaf as well. So if your alocasia is struggling, if the roots are rotted, remove all the worst, like anything that's mushy, black, smelly, remove it. And then any healthy roots, plant it up into perlite, and then just keep an eye on it. It might take you a few months for it to recover. It did for me, but then look at it now. And I've done it also with a client's plant recently as well that was struggling with root rot, and that's also now produced 2 new leaves as well. So perlite is the way to go. And then obviously, like, you could absolutely grow alocasia or any plant like full-time in perlite. All you have to think about is that, a bit like with the semi-hydro, if there isn't any additional like nutrients that you would get in soil, so you do need to be fertilizing because they're not getting any nutrients from the soil basically. So perlite doesn't have any nutrients in it, but it's so aerated, it's so light that roots just absolutely love it. So yeah, that's what I would do if your alocasia is struggling. And lastly, I'm just going to show you a little baby Zebrina. Well, it's not even baby anymore. It's quite big now, but I've grown entirely from corms coming from these plants over here. So I'm just going to grab that. Okay, and here is the baby. Like I say, it's definitely not a baby anymore. Like, this is lots of different corms that I've planted up together. So like when they're first sort of pop out, they're sort of more like this size. So these are like really baby ones, and these are just all starting to really size up now. So looking really nice, and I'm really proud of this because I feel like I've literally just grown it completely from a load of corms, and this is in Alocasia Zebrina, and again in a clear pot, so I can clearly keep an eye on all the root system in there and make sure it's happy and healthy. So all the roots that I can see here are like whitish or like a yellowy green colour, and that's what we want to see. And again, I've just got a small reservoir of fertilised water at the bottom of this. The only other thing to think about in terms of keeping your alocasia happy, and especially the Zebrina, is I personally haven't struggled with pests on mine, but with clients, and I've seen with lots of other people online, that they do tend to be particularly prone to spider mites, but also thrips won't say no either. So you do want to be cleaning your leaves on a regular basis. And actually the good thing is that these are really easy leaves to clean because there's a big expanse of them, and you can easily get like a microfiber cloth over with them. And I tend to use, like I say, a microfiber cloth and SB plant invigorator just on the front and the back as a sort of preventative, as a sort of leaf cleaner and a preventative. If the plant got spider mites, the SB plant invigorator can definitely help with that, or also peppermint soap as well. And I will link all the products that I use down in the description. But yeah, I hope you found this video useful, and yeah, I will see you in the next video. Bye.